This is a 500 amp hour 12 volt battery bank that's going to go in an RV, and I'm hooking up, coming up with a BMS for it. And here is my problem that I'm having. I got a couple of different BMSs for 4 cells. I got these models and I got this model down here. And my original plan was I would make them run a contactor, which would turn off the power to the charger and the load, the inverter. We could possibly be seeing 200 amps on the inverter, and also charging, we need to charge it quick when we get the chance. So that's why these guys have to have that relays in there. They got to drive a contactor. The problem that I found with this, a couple of problems. One, on the charge, when the battery, when any cell gets all the way up to charge, this turns off, and which would turn off our relay, which then would stop our charging. Well, the problem that I ran into was that when it turns that off, turns off the relay, the voltage drops, and then it comes back on. So the relay starts fluttering off and on, and that's not going to be good. The other problem that we have is that on the discharge side, when you discharge these all the way down, the BMS turns off, which would turn off our relay, but it won't turn back on until two things. One, you see a charge current, and the other, you have the load disconnected. So that makes both of these a little difficult to use for this situation. They might work good on a bicycle battery. They might work good for a bunch of stuff, but they're not going to work good where we have something that is like this guy that's going to be charging and discharging at the same time. We could be running down there. He could be running down the road charging with his alternator, and at the same time powering stuff like the refrigerator and all that other stuff. So I came up with this idea. This is a meter that we've used quite a bit. It's called the intelligent meter, and it has 2 relays. We see J1 and J2, and all of these can be set. We push our set button, and we wander into our programming mode, which is the number 1 here, and then we hit set. And then this opens up the J1 relay, which we can set for our voltage or our J1. If we hit set, we get that's the voltage, amperage, and amp hours. So we can set him to read whatever we want. I set them both for voltage because that's what we're using. And now I come over here to the AH1, and I set him for 2.9 volts. And then I came over here to the AL, the low, and I set him for 285. So in other words, right now, when the voltage gets down to 2.85, the device will shut off. It'll shut off our load relay, and I can set this. I can set this not to come back on until the voltage gets up to, and I'm going to set him up even a little higher because I don't want him oscillating off and on. I don't want him flicking off and on with the contactor and the load flashing off and on till we're charged back up to 3 volts. And that's for our number 1, which is going to be our load. We got a little load right there of an inverter. And then I'm going to come over, sorry about that. I'm going to come over here to J2, and this is going to be for our charger. and I have him set on voltage. So I set the AH2 for where I want the charger to come back on. So when the charger turns off and the voltage starts to float back down, it won't come back on again until we get down to 3.5. And the low, AL, is going to be set for 3.65. So charge the batteries up to 3.65 and off the charger goes, and it stays off till they settle back down to 3.5. Now the nice thing is we can set all this stuff. If we start to see it oscillate or whatnot, we'll be able to set that where we like it. These are a little confusing, this AL and AH. You got to play, I've had to play with it every time to get it to do what I want. I want the relays to be on when we're happy. And the reason for this is, even though it does use a little bit more power, if for some reason the 12-volt system stops working or something happens, at least it'll shut the system down. It won't keep it running. So yeah, we got a couple of little relays in there that are going to be engaged while we're using it, but that's the way we're setting it up. Now you have the option. It's a double pole, or double pole relay. So you can have it on when it's off, or you can have it on when it's on. And to show it work right here, I got my little variable power supply. And we see as I charge it up, like I'd be charging up, off goes our guy. And now I bring down our charge current, and on he comes when he drops back to that. Now let's say we're loading it down, and we've loaded our batteries all the way down to where they're empty. Okay, off goes J1. And J1 will stay off until the charger charges the batteries back up to 3 volts, and that's where I have it. So that's the answer. It's a little, yeah, we're going to have to buy 4 of these meters and set each one up. We need one anyway so that we can read amps and amp hours. That said, though, this will work, and I've spent enough time playing with these other things trying to get them to work.